mentioned many times the name of the Maral and the Ramchal, that Yom Tovim, the holidays, the festivals, are not merely commemorative, but rather every year at that particular moment, the same forces, the same energies, the same influences, which brought about whatever happened that transpired at that particular moment, repeat themselves every year at that moment. So if Nisan was the time of Gula, the forces and the influences which were released and unleashed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu to bring about Gula, every year during Nisan, those same forces are unleashed. And that's why at the Seder, we do many things which correspond to what took place at that particular moment. Even though they're only rabbinical, for instance, Moror. Moror is only a Torah obligation, the Oraisa, together with the Korban Pesach. Haseba is rabbinical. We behave like free men. We recline. The Dalit Kosos correspond to the Dalit Shani Gula, the four expressions of redemption, and so on and so forth. But that's what they are. They're not merely commemorative, but it's a reenactment at that particular moment of what took place at that particular time. This famous word, which also we mentioned in the past, the name of the Shalach Kadosh, we know, and the Ramos tells us in Shulchan Aruch, that there's an ancient minog of Mos Chitim that Jews provide for other Jews to make sure every Jew has the means to purchase wheat for matzah on Pesach. And Mos Chitim goes beyond, but the primary is to be able to fulfill the mitzvah of Achilas Matzah, which is a Torah obligation. The Mishnah tells us in Psochim that the charities of the communities, based on the level of impoverishment of the person, they would provide not only the means for food or the food itself, but even for Dalit Kosos, for the 4 cups of wine, that every Jew should be able to celebrate the Seder and have the means to have 4 cups of wine at the Seder. Again, why was this? Because again, although it's only rabbinical, because every Jew should be in a position to be a beneficiary of the forces of this particular moment, the Leil Seder, the Leil Shimurim, the night of watching, which reenacts itself every single year at that particular moment. So the Shalach Kodesh writes that factually, Klal Yisrael were not worthy of the Nisan. They were of the Avodah Zarah, they were idolaters, they were pagans. Although at the end they slaughtered the lamb, the goat, which was the deity of the Egyptians, but factually, until that moment they were idolaters. So why did they merit Gula? So you'd say it's the promise to Avraham Avinu, that after so many years they're going to go out with great wealth, but factually, but they're not worthy. In terms of to the degree that they had failed, they're not worthy. So he explains that Klal Yisrael, at the time of leaving Egypt, was the equivalent of the beginning of creation. Until that moment, there was no Klal Yisrael. A new entity was coming to existence, which was the equivalent of creation itself. And just as it says at the time of creation, Olam Chesed Yiboneh, David Melech says that the world, the basis for creation was Chesed. Therefore, Klal Yisrael, evolving into a people, the process of 50 days, from Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Gula, to nationhood, which was Sinai, this was the ultimate Chesed. This is Olam Chesed Yimoneh. Chesed means, although you're not deserving, there's no basis of being deserving. Chesed, Olam Chesed Yimoneh. As a result of that, therefore, there was Gula. It wasn't an issue of what happened, regardless of the promise to Avraham Avinu. Although we weren't worthy, Chesed says, even if you're not worthy, you don't make the grade, it's going to happen. Because that's Chesed. That's Olam Chesed Yimoneh. We, by doing acts of Chesed during this period of time, we're emulating HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Chesed. And by us doing Chesed, we activate and we fortify and we intensify Hashem's chesed. Therefore, that's the basis for the ancient minhag of most chitim, that every Jew is concerned for every other Jew to be able to provide for him, to be able to celebrate the Seder, which is Gula, redemption.